Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dad's Gone Crypto. I'm by myself today, and so I thought I'd bring you a little market update. We've got a lot going on this week. Bitcoin's flying. We're over 104,000 again, and there's a lot of excitement in the air. We've got our new president here in the United States coming into office on Monday, and from all accounts, it looks like he's going to be a very pro-crypto president. We've also got our last election brought in, I think it was 297 new members of our government that are very pro-crypto. So a lot of excitement here coming up next week. And I'm super excited because not only on Monday do we have the inauguration, but we've also got the Ohio State Buckeyes playing in the national championship for college football here in the States. So really excited about that as well. So without further ado, why don't we jump into the charts and see what's going on today. And we can see this is a 4-hour Bitcoin chart here. And obviously, Bitcoin's been making some real nice moves there to the upside. And we can see, we made it all the way up over 105,000 a little earlier today. We're back around 104. Hard to say if we're going to keep this rocket moving up here today or not, or if maybe we're going to pull back down to one of these higher volume areas here for a little bit and kind of retest, maybe 100 or 199, somewhere in that range. Kind of hard to say here for the day, but we'll take a look at what happens. One thing I'd like to do, why don't we go back and look at some other charts here? Maybe this is a 4-hour chart. We'll go look at a daily chart and maybe a weekly chart too, and go back and kind of take a look at some historical stuff here, see where we're at, and maybe if the historical charts can give us an idea of a little bit of where we're going. History doesn't always repeat itself. In fact, it's pretty much never is exact. But, a lot of, you'll hear a lot of times people say that, it doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And I'm a big believer in that. I think a lot of these market cycles, if you take a look back, they run very similar. And honestly, I know a lot of people have said, oh, this market cycle is so different. It's really not. We've really been running in a pattern that's very, very similar to the last two cycles. So maybe we'll go take a peek back at that as well. So let's jump over here. So here's where we're at. Here's a weekly chart of Bitcoin. And this chart I've got here is actually, you can see this blue line here, and that is a channel that we have been in for a very long time. We'll just kind of zoom out here. You can see that this is a trading channel that we've kind of been running in ever since the 2017 big blow off top there. And it comes straight across, hits both of the peaks in the 2020, 2021 market. And then looking at that, and you can see our bear market back in 2022 came down and touched the bottom of this channel and kind of held there for a little bit, came back up. And then what do you know? It kind of held the bottom of the channel again there. And then coming up to where we are now, you can see that we are kind of threatening the top of this channel. And that's actually a really good place to be here. You can see what happened back in December. We came up and we tested the top of that channel. We bounced right off of it pretty much exactly here at 108,000 or so. And then we came back down and kind of, retested and had to have our little dip there, right? And now we are threatening to get back up here to the top of this channel again. So that can kind of tell us, on a weekly basis, I'm no expert here and I don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you kind of what I'm looking at is I'm kind of thinking either, over this week, possibly because we are moving a lot today. Maybe we hit it this week, or maybe we hit it on the next weekly candle. But, we're looking at trying to tap this again here, which might get us up around 109 or so. If we can get out over this channel and then, kind of maybe retest it once or twice here, I think kind of the sky's the limit here, right? Because like I said, this channel, we've been in this all the way from 2017. So if we can break out on top of that, I think that's going to be a really powerful move and really kind of launch us here. Another thing I like to look at on this chart here, and I know we've talked about this before, but it's the election cycle. And you can see this red line denotes our most current election here in the United States. We can go back here and take a look at, this was the election in 2020. And we can go all the way back here Let's go take a look. This is the election all the way back in 2016. So just to kind of give us an idea here, I'm going to zoom in and just kind of give us an idea of where we're at now, and if the cycles are kind of moving the way they did back in the past as well. So going all the way back into this 2016 cycle, we can see we started pulling out of the bear market in 2015, just kind of like we did this time in 2023, right? By 2016, we started making some nice moves up, had a nice little peak there, came back down, and we'll go over it in a little bit here, but we'll show that this cycle is pretty much a lot like that one. And then by the time we hit the election here in November, that's when things really started heating up, right? And you can see we had a real nice move up after the election. And then let's go forward here. This is January, and you can see we had a real nice peak early January and then kind of crashed down and had a big dip. Well, what do you know? We did that same thing this cycle too so far. And we can see back in that cycle, we kind of peaked there right at the beginning of January, and then within a week or two, we had a nice big dip there, took us down about 35%, and then made a recovery. And then take a look at this. Right around this week here was the inauguration of President Trump back in 2016. He got inaugurated, and then look at what happened. That following week just, shot up, and we had quite a few weeks there of some really nice price action. And then once again, we had a big dip there of another, basically 33%. Now, I'm not saying we're getting those kind of dips here. That mid 30% range was kind of the flavor of that cycle back in 2016, 2017. Most of the dips were coming in those like 35% ranges. This cycle, we're closer to like a 20% range or so, is kind of like the flavor of our dips this cycle. So those are kind of what we're looking at. But anyway, you can see after the election, after the inauguration, we really had some nice moves up. And that's when the cycle really kicked off and just went into absolute overdrive. And yeah, just up, off the charts there. Long way. So, and then that finally peaked out. Let's just take a little peek at that there. That finally peaked out in December of 2017. Now, I'm not sure if this cycle is going to last us all the way to December, but again, this gives us a pretty kind of good up baseline here of let's go take a look at the next cycle and see where that ended up. So that was 2016. Let's go take a peek here at the 2020, 2021 cycle. And we're seeing kind of the similar kind of thing, right? So, we had we were coming out of the bear market back in 2019. Then, of course, we had the giant COVID dip. So that was kind of a black swan there that took it way down. But then we started making moves up going into the election. And lo and behold, had the election in the United States. And then here we start moving up and up and up again, right? And let's just take a peek at this right here. Was the inauguration week right in between these 2 weeks here. And you can see once again, we had a pretty good sized dip there in January, kind of the beginning of January. That was like a 27% dip. And then after inauguration week, boom, 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 boom. We had a few weeks of some really nice price action heading up. And then, of course, had a nice little dip there. That one wasn't nearly, well, actually it was. That one was around 24% as well. And again, that was kind of the flavor. Those 24, 25% dips were kind of the flavor of that cycle. And you can see there we had a much larger one, but again, kind of the same idea. So you can see from inauguration week here to when we had our first peak, which was in April, we made it all the way up 124%. From inauguration day to April there, and a whole lot more even if you go back to election day. So again, kind of the same idea. We had a really nice run up after the election, after a little dip coming into the inauguration, and then after the inauguration, nice run up. Then, of course, we had a real big dip going into the summertime, which, again, that happens as well quite often. And then we had basically the peak of our market in November of 2021 in that cycle. So let's go and take a peek at how this kind of relates to where we are now. once again, same kind of deal, right? We had the election, and this time everybody was real excited about the election because there was a lot of crypto news in this one. So when we had that, we really kind of made a big run up there. And then, like I said, we hit the top of that channel, and it was time for a cooling off. And we got that. We came down, and we had, in those 2 weeks, about a 14% dip. And then if you want to go all the way here to 4 weeks out, we had about a 17% dip. So, and again, that's closer to what this cycle has been giving us. This cycle has been giving us around 20% or so. So, really it's just kind of showing that we had a nice dip there. I kind of feel like the low is in here now, and we're ready to start making some headway up. And if you look back at those other cycles, I really have a feeling that we're going to go ahead and crash through this old trend line here and really start making some new highs. And kind of honestly very soon here. It's kind of my thought. You can see, after the election, we came up, we've been kind of consolidating for a few weeks here, and now it feels like we're ready to retest. Again, there's a very good chance, I would think, that maybe we retest this line or get close here, and then we have a little pullback, and maybe, go ahead and set in a new higher low here for the month, and then really start making our run up after that. So why don't we go that's a weekly chart, and then why don't we go take a quick peek at a daily here. And again, this is kind of all saying the same thing. Everything's kind of pointing back. This is an old trend line going from the peaks of the 2017 or the 2020, 2021 market. And you can see we've been over top of that and bouncing around on top of it here. And we were putting in some pretty steady, higher lows, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and that's what those red lines designate there. We started coming down here, and I think everybody got a little nervous because, we got real close to that low there and then made a lower high. And then everybody was really nervous that we might be coming down here and putting in a new lower low, which really, as far as the charts tell us, that could have really taken us down for quite a while longer here. But it looks like the Bitcoin gods have been good to us, and we kind of blasted back up around above this resistance here, blasted right back up through it. And now, once again, kind of using this as a support line right around that 100,000 area. And it's still, we're still looking at that same kind of thing, right? It'd be nice to maybe go up, tap this again, maybe get close, and then try back down here for maybe a higher low, right? After we go up, we'll get a higher low, maybe in that 100,000 range or so, maybe a little lower, maybe a little higher. And then that should give us the momentum to keep going up and starting to make new higher highs and really get this cycle moving. So at least, again, that's my opinion. This is all for entertainment. I don't have a crystal ball. I have absolutely no idea what's really going to happen, but I'm just some crazy guy on the internet here talking about Bitcoin, but absolutely nobody has any idea. But I can say this, that if we follow back on some of those old election cycles and we kind of take a look at what happened, I really think we are in for a hell of a ride here in 2025. I think Bitcoin is going to rise most ships along with it. And I think we're going to give some really, really fun times here this quarter and next quarter, and probably for most of the year. Again, kind of my thought is we'll probably get that dip in the summertime again, and then maybe, get another nice run going into the fall again. So again, I don't have a crystal ball, just kind of my thoughts and kind of idea where we're going. So hopefully this was a little bit helpful to you guys. If you want to throw some comments down in the chat, I'd be glad to answer any questions, especially if you want to come into our Telegram chat. Come in there and we can bounce some ideas off of each other and talk maybe some price speculation here and see where we're going. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun, and we will see you next week and hopefully have some big news here of some new all-time highs for Bitcoin. See you guys. The material and information presented in this recording are for entertainment purposes only. Do not misconstrue what you hear as investment or trading advice. Always do your own research. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by the guests on this recording are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of Dad's Gone Crypto or its hosts.